whatever it is where you are. Um, I received a few messages and I've seen a lot of uproar with this Aubrey Marcus new sacred union experiment. And as someone who has been a student, first and foremost, of the process of alchemy, that is the sacred union, call it twin flame alchemy. We're moving away from that label and all its belief systems and connotations, but the sacred union teachings as they stand, free of the New Age religion and free of religious persuasions and teachings, we're left with the mechanics of sacred union, which are evident in the experience and the process, regardless of belief systems and camps of schools of thought. So with that said, it's based in a union of two, not three. And it's based in a union of masculine and feminine energy to create the currents, the electrical currents, the biological electrical current of a male and the biological electrical current of a female, which is what is needed to create source creative energy, to create the third energy, right? And this shared unified field that they occupy together, it would become crowded with any more than the two. And it would make their process of alchemy also extremely, extremely challenging until it disrupts and they disconnect. I've seen it happen before. Just with one contender to the sacred union, another soul connection with matching frequency, and one of the sacred union occupants, to call it that, willingly allows another to enter the shared unified field, it disintegrates. It begins its descent, and the Merkaba, right? It's an upward from below current and downward from above current, which is the masculine and feminine energy, creates the Merkaba, right? And together they build a shared Merkaba, a chariot of the stars, right? That is the shared unified field. Now, if there are two downward from above currents into one upward from below current, you can only imagine how that would create a wonky Merkaba. The mechanics, as we know them and have come to experience them as true sacred union template holders, it just doesn't work. And as someone who's worked with thousands of these graduate souls over more than a decade, I've seen it happen firsthand. As soon as a third party enters this sacred union of opposites of two, male and female, be it two males, be it two females occupying that with one charge of the other, it just starts to disintegrate. It goes tits up in the fish tank and boom. Doesn't take long until it's no longer a shared unified field, no longer a connection, like not at that level that we speak of, the alchemical connection. Their process together comes to an end. And so what Aubrey Marcus is proposing is certainly can be called a sacred experiment. Sure, it can be an experiment. Who am I to judge? But it's not a union. As soon as there are more than two involved, there is no union. Not at all. It is something else entirely. And we can call it something else then, and let it be something else. But a sacred union, it is not. Not anymore. It is not a shared unified field with two occupants of that shared unified field going through a process of alchemy together as one. No. There's not room for three in a union. I think the freedom we have to call things whatever we want to call it, sure, fine. It still doesn't make it so. You know, a sacred union and the sacred union teachings are based in alchemy with the marriage of opposites, meaning a male and a female in union. And I don't care what anybody says as far as that goes. We can evolve and move into a new era of this or that. You can call it a gay sacred relationship, or you can call it a polyamorous sacred relationship, but a union, it is not. The union is of two opposites, one male and one female. There's not room for two males and one female in that union. There's not room for two females and one male in that union. It is one male and one female. That is the union of opposites. That is the hero's gamos. That is the template of sacred union. You can not alter that in any which way. Now we can change the labels of these things, as we grow and evolve, and we realize that the religious connotations and the new age uh, labels, they're not quite right. All right. There is there's a lot of superstition involved in um, the whole twin flame concept, right? There's a lot of superstition and a lot of um, religious superstition involved in that belief system. But if we look at the ancient alchemical texts and the ancient alchemical art, um, we see it's the marriage of opposites, male and female, and together they create a third energy, source creative energy, the alchemical child, and that can be used to produce uh, offspring, that can be used to create a legacy, manifest heaven on earth. Um, it can be used for deep, deep healing, um, profound healing. It can be used for creative exploration. It can be used for lots of good, to do lots of good on this planet. Um, I think when we start to mix our concepts and mix these and dilute them or distort them, we end up only confused. We end up only confused, and with a platform such as Aubrey Marcus, end up confusing a lot of people as well, and promoting something that you know is not in support of the family unit. Like a child needs a mom and a dad. A child needs a mother and a father. It does not need two mothers and one father. I think that is cause for um, psychological issues down the lane. I think that is highly experimental and not something that I would promote myself. Um, I think it is. I think we should be careful with who we give our energy to and who we follow on social media, and you should get help from a mentor to get to that level where you can be your own guru, where you can be your own in alignment with your own higher self and your own source intelligences, um, in such a way that you don't need to follow a spiritual teacher, a guru of some kind. I think I think the age of the guru is coming to an end. I think the age of um, the social media spiritual teachers that we've seen so much of is coming to an end. Everybody wants to be a teacher now without having had any true fundamental or profound experience, even. No fundamental teachings, no profound experiences. They copy and paste the material and they want to be a guide and a teacher. And then they get some great marketing team and some great social media expansion modules behind them, and boom, you see these people coming out of the woodwork with some copy and paste spiritual crap, and they make it big because there are a lot of people awakening at this time who are in need of spiritual ABCs, spiritual copy and paste crap. But yeah, what Aubrey Marcus is experimenting with is far from a sacred union. It is far from um, a union. It can be a sacred experiment because there might be a lot of love there, and they can learn and grow together and figure out their love triangle. But is it a union? No, a union is not a triangle. It's a marriage of opposites. A union is a marriage of opposites. So they added another girl to the union, and it ceased to be a union at that point in time. It became something different. It is no longer a sacred union. It is becoming something else entirely. And how long they last, I wish them well, but these relationships, these polyamorous relationships, never really tend to last. I think human beings were created for the marriage of opposites. Uh, that is what our biology seeks out uh, and is made for. One downward current and one upward current. And when these currents come together, they create a third energy and produce offspring. It's that simple. Um, Anything else is, experimentation of exploration of the human experience. Um, and it can be a beautiful one. It can be a loving relationship, and it can be a beautiful expansion and experiment of your belief systems, of dynamics, of um, love and admiration and respect, but it is not a sacred union. It is not a union of opposites. Anyways, yeah. So for those of you who were triggered by the Aubrey Marcus video, you know, look at your triggers as well. Like, what is he challenging within you? And know that there are people who are in sacred union connections who experience a third connection. And the original two cease to be connected when one of the two in connection allows for the third connection to enter, and they connect with this third one. they consciously or unconsciously disconnect from their original connection. I've seen that happen time and time and time again. And I think that is what will happen with Aubrey Marcus as well, if he ever was in a sacred union at all. To begin with, if he was in a soul-to-soul connection and was truly connected to this woman in a shared unified field, his original wife, he, upon connecting with this other one, would disconnect from his wife energetically and stop sharing a unified field. Same for her when she was with her lover. You can only be two connected in a shared unified field. The Merkaba mechanics, they kind of speak for themselves, and that would make for one wonky ass Merkaba to crowd that shared unified field with one or more. You would just the balance would be thrown off kilter, and it would start its descent, and the connection would go tits up in the fish tank, as we say. So, but yeah, if you were triggered by it, you should check your triggers, because they are pointing at a fear. They are pointing at a belief system that you believe, and it is being challenged by Aubrey Marcus. It's a good way to, check in with that and see, okay, I have a fear of losing my connection if I am in union. I have a fear of maybe my partner wanting to add another man to the mix or another woman to the mix. And how would that make you feel? What if one day your soul connection has another connection, which is possible, you know? Learn to let go of that. Learn to um, release that need for love and the fear of not being enough, the fear of someone loving someone else more than they love you, for not loving you anymore, and to know that you will be okay in life, whether people love you or not, whether they come or go. You will be okay. You will be fine. You were good before you met them, and you will be good after they leave. That type of deal. So, um, I don't usually respond to comments like hello, hi, uh, things like that. It disrupts my flow of information that is coming through me and to you. But if there are questions, I always answer every question. If there is real and true interaction, um, I always interact. But hello and hi and things like that is not something that I respond to. So, hello and goodbye. Thank you for watching for 5 seconds in order to get attention. And I appreciate anyone who truly watches my videos. I appreciate anyone who truly engages and interacts on a true and real interest. And thank you for watching. Have a beautiful continuous now, wherever you may be.